Hi and welcome to my crafting videos. Today I'm going to show you how to make a watercolor tulip. I'm drawing a sketch with an ordinary pencil. I have an ordinary eraser and a kneaded eraser to lift out the last markings, and the colors I'm going to specify when I come to them. I have 4 different kinds of brushes that I use. I have a flat one that is size 2, a round one size 4, and 2 round ones size 0, and 2 round ones size 000. I'm going to use ordinary watercolor paper with a fine grain size A5. The paper is 300 grams per square meter, so it's rather thick. So the first thing I'm doing when I start planning my artwork is a lot of reference images. This time I look at a lot of tulips and I decide what kind of tulip I want to draw and how I want it to look. So when you're doing a sketch, make sure you draw the sketch very loosely and do not push your pencil into the paper, because every dent you make will show in the finished artwork. I start off with a folded leaf. There are 2 reasons for that. First, I want a depth in the image, and second is that if you look at a tulip, that is very common for the leaf to fall off. I also want to have a leaf behind the bud to enhance it a bit more. I use loose and broad strokes with my pencil and erase them if I don't feel that they're natural. Nature has math all around, and a bend will have its natural flow. If you don't feel that it's natural, then just erase it and go back. You can easily spot when it's something that you don't recognize. Tulip stems are rather straightforward. They're very thick and they're very straight. So this is how I'm drawing that stem. The leaf behind is mostly to enhance the bud and make sure that it will look nice. But tulips often comes with 2 pair of leaves surrounding the bud, so that also makes the picture more natural. When I'm starting coloring, also use broad strokes and try to just make the shape of the leaf and the shape of the stem and the bud. Be careful not to color in on top of your markings, because then it will be hard to erase them. When you've done this, let it all dry and erase. I want the bud to go from light green to red, so by adding more water to the green I have for my leaf, I will have the same tone but brighter color. Watercolor doesn't have any white, instead you use the white of the paper and let it shine through because the colors are transparent. So by adding more water, the pigment will be even more diluted. In reverse, by adding more color, you will get a much more denser and much more concentrated color. You can have different shades of the same color by only adding or distracting water. If the color gets too dense or if you make an error, you can easily adjust by dabbing with a clean cloth or a tissue. If the color has dried, you can sort of loosen up it with a clean brush and add some water. And then try to suck it up with a clean tissue. If that doesn't work, then just try to make it into something of your image, because the longer you wait and the darker the color, the harder it will get to try to get it up. When you work with watercolors, you always go from light to darker, and by saving spaces you make white shine through. For every layer, I use a bit more color in the same brush. And by waiting until the paper is all dry, I prevent the color from leaking through into each other. If instead I want the color to blend and mix seamlessly, I paint while the previous color is still a bit wet, and then make a sort of a shade in that color. In the leaf I want this, but in the bud I do not want this, so I use different techniques for the leaf and the bud. As you can see in my lid for my watercolor, it's full of patches of dried up watercolor. I only clean my lid when the blend is too much. Instead, I use these colors to mix with my palette, because I don't want to mix colors inside the color. That will ruin them. When you mix color, use a mixing palette and the colors can always be reused. The colors I'm using for the green leaf is a permanent sap green mixed a bit with the Windsor yellow. I'm using the same color for the stem, and I'm using the same color for the lightest green of the bud. The red for the bud is permanent carmine, and I also use a bit of cadmium yellow. The darker patches of the leaf are made from olive green. The shadows of the green is also olive green. I try to highlight the stem part of the leaf to make the illusion of the leaf rounding in the stem. By carefully padding with the clean tissue, I make a lighter part next to the darker without making the edge too sharp. Make sure that you always follow the natural flow when coloring. The plant is growing and all the fiber goes in the same direction. That way it will look more natural to follow that direction when coloring instead of doing crisscross. So try and feel the flow of the leaf and try to follow that with the brush. I hope you liked this video. If you do, please subscribe, and I'll make more of these craft work videos in different techniques that I make.